Let's talk about GTA 6 gangs. Every Grand Theft Auto has had memorable gangs, right? We can look at Grove Street families and the Ballers in San Andreas, to the Italian Mafia in Liberty City, all the way to the Lost MC in GTA 4 and 5. Rockstar has always filled its maps with notorious gang culture, and GTA 6 is no different. In fact, it's looking even better, guys. So this time, Rockstar isn't just building one city as we already know. They're creating like an entire state filled with different cultures. And with different cultures come different communities. With different communities come different criminals. So we can see exactly where this is going. And that means more gangs, more rivalries, more opportunities, and probably more betrayals than ever before. Welcome to Manny's Bad Aim, where accuracy is optional. Today we're going to be having a look at every gang and criminal organization we currently know about in GTA 6. I'll separate what's officially confirmed by Rockstar and what's still speculation. I want to explain who these groups are based on as well, where they operate, and how Jason and Lucia could become involved with them throughout the story. Now, before we get into the gangs themselves, it's important to understand the world Rockstar has built. Unlike Vice City back in 2002, GTA 6 doesn't take place inside one city. Instead, we're exploring the entire state of Leonida. That means you'll travel between huge cities, small towns, industrial districts, swamps, forests, etc., etc. And each one of these environments creates different opportunities for completely different criminal organizations. Street gangs aren't just going to operate the same way as biker gangs. Drug smugglers aren't going to behave like organized crime families. Rockstar appears to be designing each region with its own identity. And that's exactly what made, for example, Red Dead Redemption 2 feel so believable. Every gang controlled its own territory. Every group had its own personality, its own motivations, its own enemies, etc., etc. And GTA 6 looks like it's following that same philosophy as well. So who are the gangs? Well, let's start off with Final Chapter Motorcycle Club. From everything Rockstar has shown so far, these aren't city criminals. I think they're going to be somewhere in the countryside, and they're going to be sort of like the outlaws of the countryside, which is going to be really cool. They got the classic leather jackets, the club patches, the long beards, Harley-style motorcycles as well. They probably got the roadside bars as well. That would be pretty cool. You can imagine that they're going to be heavily tattooed custom motorcycles, which is going to be pretty cool. That means, hopefully, if they are custom motorcycles, it will be great to see more than obviously just one motorcycle, if that makes sense. It will be cool to see like a few variations of the motorcycles that we can probably steal and stuff like that. I think that would be really cool. Personally, I wouldn't be surprised if Jason has previous connections with this group before the main story even begins. That would be pretty cool. All right, let's move on to one of the strangest sort of gangs or groups that Rockstar has ever introduced, the Thrillbilly Mud Club. At first glance, they don't even look like a gang. They look more like a community. A community sort of built around off-road trucks, ATVs, I don't know, mud racing, fishing, drinking, bonfires, that sort of vibe. It looks like complete chaos. If you ever watched videos of Florida mud parks or backwood truck festivals, you'll immediately sort of recognize where Rockstar found its inspiration from. Now, whether this group becomes hostile towards players or simply just exists as part of Leonida's living world sort of remains unknown. We're not entirely sure yet. But Rockstar rarely spends this much time creating a unique subculture unless they intend players to interact with them somehow. So maybe Jason and Lucia might need their help for something. Maybe they race against them. Maybe they buy stolen vehicles from them. Or maybe they become enemies after a drug deal goes wrong. We have no idea. But whatever Rockstar has planned, I'm sure we'll be in for a surprise. Now it's time to head over into Vice City itself. One of the newest gangs we've seen is San for San. Now, unlike Final Chapter MC, Rockstar hasn't officially explained much about these guys. They've appeared often through like trailers, artwork, promotional material and stuff like that. But it's pretty obvious that they're going to play a pretty important role in GTA 6. Now, based on what we've seen so far, San for San appears to be a modern street gang deeply rooted within Vice City. And their presence throughout the city all suggests that they control territory somewhere inside the actual city itself, maybe in a smaller neighborhood or maybe even spread over different parts of Vice City. You need to remember Vice City is much larger than before. It's denser, it's busier, it's more populated, which means more neighborhoods worth fighting over. So more territories worth taking over. Now, not every criminal organization wears matching colors. Some are businesses, some are families, some operate under the radar, and that's where Brian Heder comes in. Brian appears to run one of Leonida's smuggling operations. He's older, he's more experienced, and appears to have sort of built an empire over these many years. Now, Rockstar has already hinted that Jason works for Brian at some point, and that immediately raises some interesting questions, right? So was Jason already involved with organized crime before meeting Lucia? Who knows? Does Brian become a mentor? Again, who knows? Or could he eventually become one of the group's major antagonists? Again, we just don't know. Brian may not lead a traditional gang, but make no mistake, his organization could end up becoming one of the most powerful criminal forces in the entire game. We're just going to have to wait and see. And next we have Raul Bautista. I think that's how you pronounce his name. Unlike Brian, Raul appears to specialize in high-level robberies, professional jobs, large scores. You get the whole idea. Now, if you play GTA 5, and who hasn't, imagine someone who lives for the biggest heists possible. Rockstar has described Raul as someone who's always chasing greater rewards. Even if the risks become increasingly dangerous, that immediately just sounds like somebody Jason and Lucia could either admire or maybe even regret ever meeting, which again, we don't know until the game is going to be out. But every single Grand Theft Auto game has featured experienced criminals who recruit talented newcomers. And Raul feels like he could become exactly that, the man who introduces Jason and Lucia to the larger robberies, whether they're banks or armored vehicles or even probably luxury estates, or even maybe something bigger, we have no idea. But considering GTA 6 appears to feature more advanced police systems than any other Rockstar game, every heist could become far more unpredictable than we've ever experienced before. And if Raul really is chasing bigger and bigger scores, things probably won't end well. Now, let's talk about someone who proves that not every criminal in Leonida hides in the shadows. Boobie Ike. If you haven't been paying close attention to Rockstar's character reveals, you'll know Boobie isn't just another gangster. He's a businessman, or at least that's what everyone sort of sees on the surface. He owns real estate, he owns businesses, he owns a strip club. He's also involved in music as well, and he's built himself into one of Vice City's most recognizable entrepreneurs. But this is Grand Theft Auto. Successful businessmen often hide something much bigger underneath. Rockstar describes Boobie as someone who transformed his criminal past into a legitimate empire. That doesn't necessarily mean he's left all that crime behind. In fact, it could mean he's simply becoming smarter about it. Throughout GTA history, we've seen characters use clubs, bars, garages, legitimate companies to hide illegal operations like money laundering and drug distribution, weapons, whatever it is, even rackets as well. Well, Boobie could easily be doing exactly the same thing. He's also pretty connected to the city's music scene, giving him influence that sort of stretches far beyond ordinary street gangs. That makes him incredibly dangerous. Sometimes the most powerful criminals don't carry guns. They own the people carrying them. Now, connected closely to Boobie Ike is another fascinating character, and that's Draquan Priest. Draquan runs Only Raw Records, a music label trying to make its mark in Vice City. At first glance, this might sound completely unrelated to crime, but if you've ever followed Rockstar's games over the years, you know that music, money, and organized crime have often sort of gone hand in hand with the nightclubs, concerts, celebrities, cash businesses. You know, it's a place for money laundering. And yeah, these are perfect places to move money, build influence, recruit people. Rockstar has hinted that Draquan's ambitions stretch far beyond making hit records. He's sort of chasing success by any means necessary. That immediately raises a ton of questions. Could Only Raw Records become a front for an illegal business? Could artists also become involved in robberies? Could concerts become like mission locations? Could Jason and Lucia end up working security or transporting money or protecting valuable assets? Whatever happens, Rockstar clearly wants Vice City's music industry to feel like an important part of the game's criminal ecosystem rather than just background decoration. When you put all of these organizations together, something interesting starts to appear. So Rockstar isn't simply just creating random gangs, they're building an interconnected criminal world. Street gangs controlling neighborhoods, biker gangs dominate the real worlds, we've got smugglers controlling the waterways or the docks, we have business owners who got influence in the economy, we have music executives who control the culture, professional robbers chasing massive scores. Each group serves a different purpose and each operates differently. And that should make every part of Leonida feel unique. Now, let's move into speculation. Everything we've talked about so far has been based on the information Rockstar has officially revealed. From this point onwards, these are educated predictions based on Leonida's settings, previous GTA games, and real-life Florida, basically. So, first up, let's talk about cartels. Florida has long been associated with international drug trafficking because of its coastline and proximity to the Caribbean and Latin America. It would make perfect sense for Rockstar to include some sort of powerful smuggling organizations moving narcotics, weapons, or money through Leonida's ports and waterways. So yeah, we may potentially see that. I personally think we probably will see that, or some sort of that. It doesn't need to be like a mafia, but it could be something along those lines. Anyway, next, Cuban-inspired gangs. Vice City always has taken inspiration from Miami, and Miami has deep Cuban cultural roots. The original GTA Vice City featured Cuban gangs, so modern versions wouldn't be surprising. Again, Rockstar hasn't confirmed any of these groups, but they'll fit in pretty naturally within the setting. Another possibility is prison gangs. We've already seen Lucia begin part of a story in a prison. If incarceration plays a bigger role than in previous GTA games, prison alliances and rivalries could become more part of the narrative. There are also rumors of a right-wing militia group based on information discussed after the 2022 leaks, but again, you know, that's up in the air, I think. Not entirely sure about that one. Finally, there are countless smaller criminal groups that could still exist throughout the whole Leonida state, like street racers or vehicle theft rings, cyber criminals as well. That would be really cool to see. Romance scammers, knowing GTA, they'll probably do something crazy like that. What about like identity fraud crews or social media influencers sort of running illegal businesses behind the scenes? I think that would be really cool. The big question though is, where do Jason and Lucia fit? So that's the big mystery here. Unlike previous protagonists, they already seem to trust each other. Their relationship appears to be the emotional center of the story. Instead of joining one gang, they may become independent criminals working multiple organizations throughout Leonida. One day they might be helping Brian move some smuggled goods. The next they're planning to do a major robbery with Raul Bautista. Always going to get that name wrong. But later, they could be negotiating with Boobie Ike, crossing paths with San for San, or even trying to survive a confrontation between them and the final chapter MC. That flexibility will allow Rockstar to show players every corner of Leonida's criminal underworld without forcing Jason and Lucia into some sort of permanent faction. So, as history tells us, there will almost certainly be more gangs, more organizations, more unforgettable characters waiting to surprise us once we finally step into Vice City. Which gang are you most excited to learn about? Do you think that final chapter MC will steal the spotlight? Will San for San become the next iconic GTA street gang? Or do you think that Rockstar is still hiding its biggest criminal organization until launch? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, turn on notifications so you never miss another GTA 6 breakdown, guide, or theory. This has been Manny's Bad Aim, where accuracy is optional. I'll see you guys in the next one.